done?
He's running behind. He'll be here. Wah, wah. All right, we're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Mr. Smith will be right back, but we're going to go ahead and start with our prayer and our pledge. I've asked Mr. Gonthier to lead us in those. If you'd all please stand.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for opportunity to conduct city business. Help us to be wise in the decisions that we make, that we might do proper business. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge. Attention, salute. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, we go on. We're going to jump around tonight. We've got some, as you've seen, it's quite a lengthy agenda, but we've got some things we can do and get some folks out of here without making them wait till 2 in the morning.
Can I do roll call first?
Do what?
Roll
Yeah, we can do roll call, please.
Harry Lamar,
Here.
Troy Shropshire,
here.
Travis Malou,
Here.
Randy Chitwood,
Here.
Charles Trammell,
Here.
Chris Gonthier,
Here.
Bruce Smith.
Here.
All right, so as I was saying, we're going to kind of jump around a little tonight. We do have one petition from the audience. That's Mr. Bennett from. You got 5 minutes, is all yours.
Okay, thank you. So I'm Kenny Bennett. I am a police officer with Pryor. I'm also on the board for the FOP. Some things that I wanted to talk about was kind of some things that I discussed with Larry Lees back a long time ago. I know there's a lot of things that this council probably doesn't appreciate much that Larry did, and maybe some things that they do, but one of the things that I talked to Larry about a long time ago was the growth of Pryor. And Pryor's growing, it's been growing. That was one of his big goals, I know. I don't know, I haven't got to talk to a whole lot of you guys about your anticipation of the growth of the city. But you know, we just added 500 and something apartments out south of town that I think we're looking at annexing in, several housing additions, stuff like that. And one of the things that I talked to Larry about was getting ahead of that with law enforcement, fire, stuff like that, emergency services, because if the town grows faster than you can keep up with, and I think Jeremy's kind of done a good job telling you guys how long it takes for us to find a good applicant, get them through like all of the application process, hire them, get them through training, and get them to the point that they're actually ready to work. It's several months to almost a year sometimes before we see a good day's work out of an officer that we hire. So that's one of the problems that we have. So it's not like something that we can just let the town grow and then expect to keep up with it. We're always going to be behind the curve on that. So that was one of the reasons that we tried to add a couple of officers and firemen and emergency services back in the past. Now we're down from that number that was the goal. We have seen the growth, and we have lost officers, and it's getting to be a real challenge for us to keep up with it. I have a few calls printed off here. One of them was a hit and run accident at Walmart that we had 3 people working. We were busy. We could not get to it for an hour and 25 minutes. Somebody was sitting there waiting for the police to show up to a call. It's a lower priority call, but still, I mean, the citizens of this town are waiting over an hour for the police to show up because that's where we're at with manpower right now. So, I mean, as a member of the FOP, like, our goal is to work with the city and with the administration of the police department to protect the citizens of this town. I mean, that's our goal. And we try to, you know, work with the citizens and talk to kids and help less fortunate kids and a bunch of other things that we do with the FOP. But that's one of our goals. And so, I mean, that bothers me. I don't know if it bothers you guys that the people in this town are waiting that long for the police to show up. While this person was waiting, we had a person that was breaking into houses, broke into 3 or 4 houses. We finally caught him, arrested him, and we had a adult male with a 14-year-old runaway juvenile female that he was in an inappropriate relationship with that ended up, I mean, he was arrested for harboring a juvenile runaway at the time, and then it led to more things after. So, I mean, not calls that we could not go to. So it wasn't like we were just negligent or not doing our job. She waited an hour and 25 minutes because we had legitimate calls we had to go to. We had another officer that was by himself on a domestic assault and battery where there was a male friend of a female in a relationship that was beaten pretty badly. And we had an officer that attended that call by himself because we had 2 other officers on a call where a guy pulled a sword and they were dealing with that. So, I mean, we had to call in extra people from night shift. We had to request assistance from the county who had nobody to help, and GRDA who sent some people to help, but it took them several minutes to get here. So he was on that call by himself. So the calls are there, and the reason that the calls are there is because we have kind of a unique layout here in Pryor where we have 2 major intersecting highways that run right through town. We have the largest industrial park in the U.S., as far as I know, just outside of the city limits. That doesn't necessarily contribute to our population, but it does contribute to the people that are here in Pryor and staying here. We have temporary workers that get per diem to travel to Pryor to work. So I think whenever I talked to Kim Ritchie years ago, we, just from an educated guess, was right around 2,000 people that are temporary employees at the industrial park in some fashion that live in Pryor or right around Pryor, that come to Pryor for entertainment, food, shopping, stuff like that, that don't count towards our population. There's about 2,000 people right there that are staying here in and around Pryor that are incentivized by per diem and travel pay and everything else from these companies to come and work here that don't count towards our population. So you take a town of 9,500 and all of a sudden it's a town of, what, 11,500? Plus you add the fact that we're the county seat and the largest municipality in Mays County. So we have people coming here to do everything from shopping to eating to filing their taxes. So we have hundreds of people, if not thousands of people traveling in for that. We've averaged about 64 calls per day since May. And that's operating at minimum manpower. That means there's 2 or 3 officers answering those calls. That's just kind of where we're at. We have 5 school resource officers that are dedicated to the schools that can't leave that school. So you look at our agency size, and the school's paying for 5 of those officers. So you remove those from our manpower right off the bat. And then on top of that, anybody that's injured or any positions that we're short that we don't get to backfill, it becomes an issue with manpower really quick. And we can't just pull those officers out of the school, or else the city's gonna have to pay for those positions because the school's gonna pull their funding. So, I mean, that's kind of an issue. We also don't have civilian employees that most departments our size do have. Civilian employees can do things like evidence, where we have a full-time officer that's a detective that has to keep up with evidence, and that's pretty much a full-time job. And I don't know if you've seen some of these towns around here that have had mismanagement of evidence, but it can be really bad, and it can be a major lawsuit waiting to happen for the city. So we have an officer that does that instead of a civilian employee. So we also have the Mays County Jail, Grand Lake, mental health, the Pryor Impact Center, and things like that right here in town that's bringing a lot of people here that tend to generate more calls for service for us than other towns. Typically, everybody else's problems are coming here to Pryor, and then we're having to deal with it. So that's really all that I have. It's just my goal here is to kind of enlighten you guys, and we're here all the time. Like you can reach out to me or any of us if you have any questions about any of this. But I mean, I have all the documentation that you would need if you need to see it. But it's really impacting the way that we are able to police the community, and it's really impacting the citizens of this town by not being able to hire more people to keep up with the minimum staffing that we've had previously. So that's all I've got. If you guys have any questions, I think I might be out of time.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. At this point, we're going to go down to the item 4, the mayor's report. Item A, discussion and possible action regarding the resignation of Ward 2 City Council Member Dennis Nance, effective November 7th, 2023. That term was expiring May of 2025. Do I have a motion?
Motion. I'll second.
I have a motion from Choya and a second from Mr. Chitwood. Obviously, we'd like to thank Dennis Nance for several years of service to the community. He did a great job and represented his people well. So for that, we give our gratitude and our thanks to Mr. Nance. Further discussion?
No, thank you.
Okay. Let's go call for the vote.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Okay. Item B, discussion and possible action regarding the mayor's nomination of Lori Bradshaw for the open Ward 2 City Council seat. Excuse me, term ending May 2025. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, go ahead.
I got a motion.
Okay,
Second.
and we have a motion from Troy and a second from Mr. Lamar. Discussion? Okay, call for the vote.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Abstain.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Okay. All right. That puts you in. Now we're going to swear you in. So item C, the swearing in of Lori Bradshaw to Ward 2 Council seat, term expiring May 2025, replacing Dennis Nance. I don't believe this calls for a vote. It's just noting on the agenda that we're going to do that. So. Come up here. We've got the oath of office and the loyalty oath or affirmation. So if you'll raise your right hand and do your best to repeat after me. I, Lori Bradshaw,
I, Lori Bradshaw,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey, and defend
obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma
and the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma
and the Charter of the City of Pryor Creek, Oklahoma.
and the Charter of the City of Pryor Creek, Oklahoma,
That I will not knowingly
and that I will not knowingly
receive,
receive
directly or indirectly,
directly or indirectly
any money or other valuable thing
any money or other valuable thing
for the performance or non-performance
for the performance or non-performance
of any act or duty
of any act or duty
pertaining to my office,
pertaining to my office,
other than
other than
the compensation allowed by law.
the compensation allowed by law.
I further swear or affirm
I further swear or affirm
that I will faithfully discharge my duties
that I will faithfully discharge my duties
as Council Member Ward 2
as Council Member Ward 2
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
All right, that's one of them. We'll sign those after we're done.
Okay,
After the meeting, we'll get that done.
okay.
All right. I do, okay, raise your hand again. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States of America
and the laws of the United States of America
and the laws of the State of Oklahoma,
and the laws of the State of Oklahoma,
and that I will faithfully discharge,
and that I will faithfully discharge,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
or employment during such time
or employment during such time
as I am Council Member Ward 2.
as I am Council Member Ward 2.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Now starts the fun.
Okay.
You might as well sign in.
All right. Yeah, don't forget to sign in. That's how you get paid.
That's how you get paid. This does,
Yeah.
Travis Mueller said, do I really get paid for this? I said, yes, you do.
Yep. I didn't know we got paid.
Thank you. All right, so this time welcome, Mr. McBride.
Thank you.
We appreciate your driving safe to get here. At this time, we're going to go on to item number 5. Again, remember I said we're skipping around. The city attorney's report, public hearing. At this time, I need a motion to enter public hearing.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion from Chitwood and a second from Gonthier. Do you want me to read these, or?
Go for it.
All right. Can I amend that motion, guys, to waive the readings, or would you like to read the description on that one?
I'll amend my motion to enter public hearing and waive the reading.
I'll concur.
Okay, this is for the Butler Homes requesting the temporary restriction from a plat. Do we have representation? Oh, Miss Becky, come on up, please.
We have to vote to enter public hearing.
Yes, we need a vote to enter public hearing. Call for the vote.
Yeah, you guys ready?
Yep.
Okay. Bradshaw,
Yes.
put you on the spot, sorry.
Yeah.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire.
Yes.
Okay, Miss Orange, you represent Butler Homes, correct?
I do.
Okay, would you explain to the council what it is you're seeking?
Yes, and I'm sorry I'm not prepared because I thought we did this at the planning and zoning and didn't know I had to do this.
This
Rags-
is the one where you really have to sell yourself.
Okay,
No pressure.
Ragsdale Edition. We bought the last 4 lots in the Ragsdale Edition, and one of the lots, Lot 10, has a temporary restriction on it saying that they wanted to withhold that lot from building temporarily to use it as access from, emergency access from Kauai into the community, a second access. There is already a second access there, and it's south of the lot. So we are asking for the temporary access to be removed so that we could build on that lot. And so we went through the planning and zoning. They
approved it.
approved it, recommended it, and so we have pictures, aerial pictures that shows there's actually 2 roads right past our lot. There's one that has a rope across it with a little emergency sign that can be moved and can access it that way. And then down, like 20 feet down, there's another nice gravel road that goes into the Ragsdale Part 2 edition, which is what that is all for. So
Is everybody familiar with where this
Is
is
that
at?
southeast,
6th Street. 6th,
Oh.
it circles around to Dawn.
so it kind of goes in and then takes a hard right?
Yes.
And then,
Here's if you
because
wanna pass that around.
I mow 3 yards in there, and I used to could drive through that lot, that had a little gravel thing that's now blocked.
Right, because it's emergency, so it's emergency access needed that. You will wanna see this.
So it is a very difficult place to go through.
Is that the same as this map?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is directly west of Jefferson.
So is
Is-
it the intention of only having the one entrance, or are they gonna make a way to go through that?
We are not involved in the Ragsdale Part 2 edition. We just bought that lot, and the lot's in Part 1, so we don't know what the intentions are in the future for Part 2. And like I said, the restriction that's on the plat is for a temporary emergency access. There is a temporary emergency access already there, so this is no longer needed, and we're just asking for that to be removed.
When you say there's already a temporary access there, are you referring to the road that doesn't go all the way through and you have to move that little barrier you're talking about?
That is a temporary access.
So that's the access you're talking
Yeah,
about?
that's there's 2 of them. There's a gravel road. They can remove the rope and they drive through if an ambulance needed, if something was happening on the other end and they need it in the community. That's an emergency access.
Is that street gonna be opened up all the way through without a rope across it?
That's in part two. I don't have anything to do with that.
Okay. And on the letter from the city engineer, he was at that meeting the other
Yes.
night. If I'm reading this correctly, has an objection to this, is that right?
He is addressing everything to do with the Ragsdale Part Two, and that has nothing to do with us. The lot's in Part One, the plat has already been approved, so he's just, he brought up all the things that the developer had not done, performed, that had
Correct.
been promised. And so they realized that has nothing to do with us as Butler Homes buying a lot that has already been approved in the plat.
Okay. And then one of the other things that I noticed, I watched that meeting, and one of the questions that I think the chair of the P and Z had at the very beginning was, he said, something to the effect of, I really wish we had the city attorney here to answer questions about this. So is anybody, do you have any comment, or was anybody ever addressed that with city attorney about what your comments are about this?
I have not been asked anything, but I didn't notice anything improper.
I will say, he asked if the planning and zoning had the legal ability to say that, yeah, it could be removed. That was what he was at, if they, who says that can be removed off
Yeah,
the plat?
they can make the recommendation, and then the council obviously does it.
So you, as our attorney, have no problems with it,
Correct.
or see any foresee, but
I
the
don't see
city
any
engineer does have a problem with it.
Yeah, and again, Dale was addressing several things in the interest of safety and things. Most of those were in regards to the Ragsdale portion of that. So for visualization's sake, for those that don't have that, I know a blueprint is not a satellite image, but that lot 10 is cut short by that northern entrance. And I think what they're asking is that northern entrance be done away with so that they can have the full.
The northern interest is not on nothing is on our lot.
But does it not cut into the corner?
No.
That's why that lot was cut short?
No.
So what you're saying is that access point that we used to could use, that they've blocked now, that's not on lot 10?
No,
So lot 10 doesn't touch that at all?
No.
Oh, let me see that.
yes.
Okay, where's lot 10 on this?
Lot 10 is the one that's drawn in right here. And that's the north access, and here's the south access. South access is a really nice road, and like I said, it's emergency, so they got it blocked off so people won't be using it as
So I
pass-through.
used to come through here.
But it's not for.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with.
Nikki, will you show that,
egress
this
and
side of
ingress.
Anybody see? This is the lot that we own. The road is north of it, and then the second road is, south,
Correct.
south of it. And,
Okay, so that's a different lot than. what
That's
we're
not what's
here.
showing on this map.
yes, let's turn it the way you all are looking at it on that map. So see, this road is completely,
And this is lot number 10?
yes.
And where's this access to the north you're talking about?
No, it's, the lot is north of the access. This
Okay.
access is south, and here's the second one. This second one comes around here, and this one comes straight through to this road. And so, see, they wouldn't even ever use, there's a tree line right there. That tree line comes right, so they can't even drive across it for an emergency. It was going to be put in when Ragsdale had it, and Ragsdale did
This
not
comes
put it there.
around
Okay.
So
Jefferson.
they put it further south.
So there's
But the
access here,
temporary thing is still on the original plat,
And then there's one.
and that's all we're asking is for that to be.
Mayor, since Ragsdale's already got this and he only has these temporary in there, is the city requiring him to complete that Don Street Road? And are they doing anything that, are they out of compliance with what they should be doing?
There are several things that they have to work on yet that have not taken place. I don't have that list in front of me, but they were, if I remember right, they were water detention situations and things like that, so.
So this is what.
Their
What are
task,
we as a city doing to make sure that they get that done?
Here at all.
Well, they reserved.
We're working on that.
so that process, when they come to us and tell us they're done, then we proceed with allowing them to move to the next step. And that has
But
not
they've
happened.
already, but the
that's a
addition's already
regular
been accepted by the city, right?
The addition, as it is now, yes, but there's a second portion planned not by Butler.
Right, right.
She's not done it.
Yeah, I got you.
But there are things
Yeah, and
that
it'll
they
be-
still have to do. That has not been done, that
Residential
they,
will be over
that they finish that road out. The issue that, part of the issue that Dale had in his judgment was, there's no turnaround. There's no cul-de-sac. There's no, his was on the air of safety. And when I spoke with Chief Young, it was a very brief conversation, and I don't want to put anything, you know, in his mind, but was that they could access it from another point if they needed to. And so, the planning and zoning did not, there were several firefighters on there, you know, that represent that board, other developers on that board, and they did not have any problem with the removal of that street, that access, sorry, the access.
So the only one that was really an objection was our engineer.
Yes, and of course, you know, his eyes were concerned for other things, and so
And
those
he
were
was
overseen.
told that the road did go across our lot. He never went out and actually
Right.
looked at it.
Right. So,
But we saw that didn't happen, right?
So the second part of it hasn't been approved, plans or anything, so when that time comes, we can make sure that.
there will have to be other things, but that's for another business another
Right,
time.
we're just asking
Right.
for the removal of the temporary access.
Okay, further discussion, concerns? Okay, call for the vote.
For what?
Oh, I'm sorry, stop,
We gotta come out.
stop.
I will call
know.
for a vote, I just don't
I
want-
didn't look down. Do I have a motion to exit public hearing?
Motion to exit.
Second.
Motion from Chitwood and a second from Mr. Gantier. Call for that vote.
Do I sit down?
Yes, you can sit down.
Sorry, tell me the motion in second.
The motion was Chitwood, the second was Gantier. And when you're ready, call for the vote.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw.
Yes.
Item B, discussion and possible action regarding the removal of the temporary restriction from plat and not requiring extension of the public dedicated street frontage. Lot 10 shall be held out of the market to provide temporary emergency access to South Kauai Street through a gated system.
I make the motion that we remove the temporary restriction as is stated here. You got to waive?
Don't have to, but
You don't have to, but if you want him to read the whole description.
And waive the reading.
And waive the reading.
I'll second.
Motion from Gantier, second from Chitwood. Discussion? If none, call for the vote.
It's like 2 pages long.
What are we waiving the reading for? We're voting on the first public hearing, correct?
Right, so we're just voting right now. The vote is to remove that temporary emergency access.
Okay,
On
so
B.
we don't need to waive the reading on anything because there's nothing to waive.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You're good to go. All right, item C, a public hearing. I need a motion to enter back into public hearing.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion from Gantier and a second from Chitwood. You can call for the vote.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood.
Yes.
Okay, you're in a public hearing. This is a short one, so I will read it. Tyler Ragsdale requesting a zoning change from CAR, Commercial Automotive Recreational, back to AG Agricultural to build a house on this lot, which would also require variance due to the size and setback for the house. 2309 Northeast First. Discussion?
I have no issue.
I think for those that were curious, it fell just slightly short, isn't that what it said? I mean, fell just slightly short of the acreage. And he's just requesting that we
Okay.
switch it back to AG so that he can do what he needs to.
This was put on commercial automotive recreational before he bought it, and he's wanting to put it back to AG, and then
Yes.
also the acre.
Why did we move it to, commercial automotive?
There was the person he bought it from was gonna do something different with it, and they got it moved over to CAR, yeah, and he wants to do something different than what they had planned.
Do we have further discussion on that? Questions? Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to exit public hearing.
So move.
Was there any representation here on that?
I'll second.
None, okay. We have a motion from Gantier to exit public hearing and a second from Chitwood. We can call for the vote.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell.
Yes.
Okay. Item D, discussion and possible action regarding the request of the zoning change from CAR, Commercial Automotive Recreational, back to AG, Agricultural, for Tyler Ragsdale, 2309 Northeast First.
Motion to make this change back to agriculture.
Okay, motion
second.
from Gantier, second from Chitwood. Discussion? And call for the vote.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier.
Yes.
Okay. Item E, let's go, have a motion to enter back into public hearing.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion from Gantier, and a second from, Mr. Chitwood. Do we mind amending that motion to waive this reading?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay,
I'll second to waive the reading,
okay.
approve and waive.
Motion from Gantier, second from Chitwood to waive the
There's
reading.
not any scrivener's errors, anything in all that legal description.
Oh, probably somewhere in there we could find something. Okay, so this is, the applicant is John Rogers for WB Pryor, Oklahoma LLC. Submitted a preliminary plat for the property in the city of Pryor. Come on up. Yes, ma'am.
Can we vote to enter hearing?
We did,
Did we not take that vote? Okay, you can come on up anyway. This will take a second. Let's call for the vote to enter public hearing.
Lamar,
Yes.
Yes.
Shropshire, Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Okay.
My name is Russell Gartner. I'm representing John Rogers with Craft and Toll. Our application is for a preliminary plat approval for Waterburger Pryor at 5377 South Mill Road. The plat shows a proposed lot split with associated easements.
You guys have that in your packet?
Is that the Peyton Crossing one?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Do we have any questions?
Where,
This is the Whataburger side?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And what exactly are you, this is just to accept the preliminary plat?
Yes, sir.
So as we went into this, we had some, if you don't mind, you know, a little background on it. We had some questions concerning the division there. We understood originally that it wasn't. Then we had checked with the county, and the county had pulled up some documents that showed that it had been divided up. Well, then we found out that it hadn't been divided up properly, that all the documentation wasn't there, not to Craft and Toll's error. That was someone on Mays County Pryor side previously. And so now we'd just like to do that. That would separate the property from Patriot and provide that division that they need properly, so.
Where exactly on this map is the store location?
It's that south lot, lot one, right where the proposed lot one is gonna be, maybe a little northwest of that. I have, plans for that as well, if you'd like to see those, just for fun.
This is where Domino's Pizza is.
Are you all familiar with this, or do you need?
see it.
Yes.
Could you show me where Patriot is on this?
Patriot is gonna be to the, let me see it, so I can look at it. It's to the south, but I wanna see how that's on this here. So, here's Highway 69, this is Patriot, this is where they're going, this is the, I'm sorry, Patriot is down here. They're going in here, that'll be another development in the future. That's where the Domino's strip mall
It
is
should
at.
be this building.
And this is
Okay.
Hotel Pryor over here.
Yeah, that's a
They're,
lot
they're looking
here,
to divide that.
Okay.
but I'm trying to figure out where that, it works out in this one.
Clear as mud.
So,
Parking all around there for
so
Patriot.
here's what they're looking for. This is Patriot down here.
Okay.
This up here would be the Domino's. This
Okay.
is a future development, Hotel Pryor, they're gonna be right
Right
here.
there.
And that's what they're looking to divide up. This currently is Patriots.
Yeah, okay, so this is like the drive-through coming in.
Yeah, they're gonna come in here.
Ah, okay, that's what we're doing. Okay,
Okay.
that's making sense now.
That makes
Okay.
perfect sense.
Yeah, I saw these cars, I'm thinking, is that Patriot? What's that all about? That's your drive-through, okay.
That's good.
It's a little bitty Whataburger for all the big old cars in it.
All right. Did that clarify for everybody
Yeah.
what we're requesting?
I think so.
Do we have further questions or concerns? Okay. Thank you. At this time, we'll require a motion to exit public hearing.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion from Gantier to exit public hearing, a second from Mr. Chitwood, and we'll call for the vote.
Shropshire.
Yes.
Bradshaw.
Yes.
Malure.
Yes.
Chitwood.
Yes.
Trammell.
Yes.
Gauthier.
Yes.
Oh,
Smith.
excuse me, yes. Thought I'd
Lamar?
check, see if I could still say.
Yes,
All right. We are back into regular session. At this time, we'll go to item F, discussion and possible action regarding the preliminary plat for the properties as listed in the legal description above. Do I have a
I'll
motion?
make a motion for discussion and possible action on item F.
Okay, we have a motion from Chitwood,
Second.
second from Gantier.
And explain when we vote exactly what we're voting.
Yes, I will. Let's
Thank you, sir.
call for the vote. No, wait, I'm sorry. This back and forth stuff. Discussion, right? Is that where we're at?
Yes.
Yes.
Thanks.
You're at discussion. You guys will be voting on the lot split.
So a yes
Vote
would be
yes, you're
to
approving the lot split.
approve the split. Thank you. A yes is to approve the split, a no is to leave it as it is.
I just wanted clarification because there's a lot of confusion with these.
Yeah, it's not our normal to go back and forth, but I appreciate everybody's patience. All right. Further discussion? Okay. This time we'll call for the vote.
Okay. Bradshaw.
Yes.
Malure.
Yes.
Chitwood.
Yes.
Trammell.
Yes.
Gantier.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes,
Lamar.
yes.
Shropshire.
Yes.
Okay.
Now we need to go back to the first.
All right. So now we're going to, again, skip back to the consent agenda. Again, I apologize. We're going all over, but wanted to make sure that those individuals could get their business taken care of promptly and get Ms. Bradshaw up on the stand. Are there any items that you would like to see removed?
Yes. Are you ready? A,
Maybe.
B, M,
Okay. I'm going to pull J. Is there anything?
Letter U and letter W.
We've already done W.
No, we didn't.
No, we haven't done W yet.
We have not? Oh, my apologies.
Okay. Any further? Okay.
You're right.
Okay. Then I need a motion to approve C, D, E, F, G, H, I, K, L, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, and V.
I make a motion that
Well-
we approve.
Was the second one that you said with the phonetic alphabet
No, he pulled A. He
Oh, I
pulled,
thought he pulled B.
Pulled A and B.
and
Oh,
B?
A, okay, I didn't hear A. My apologies.
you need that one more time?
I pulled A, B,
We have A, B, J, M, U, and W have been pulled. I need a motion to approve
Motion
all
to
of them.
approve the remainder.
I'll second.
Motion from Gantier to approve the non-removed items, and a second from Mr. Chitwood. Discussion? No, call for the vote.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw.
Yes.
Item A, approve the minutes of the October 17th, 2023 council meeting. Do I have a
Motion to
Motion.
approve.
To do B two.
I'll
Motion
second.
from Gantier, a second from Mr. Chitwood to approve the minutes. Discussion? Call for the vote.
First one for sure.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Abstain.
Malure,
Yes.
Okay. Item B, approve payroll purchase orders through November 10th, 2023. Do I have a motion for discussion?
Well, she's approved.
No, I have a motion. Make the
Second.
motion, excuse me.
We have a motion from Mr. Chitwood and a second from Mr. Gantier to approve payroll purchase orders through November 10th.
I don't think you've seen it, so.
Discussion?
Yes, I have a couple of things. One, are we having temp hires from, the general budget positions?
no new ones.
The ones that
new
have been in
ones?
place,
The
nothing
ones-
new.
okay.
Yeah.
So nothing new?
We still have
All right.
temporary employees
Yeah,
on
we
it.
still have a hiring freeze there.
All right.
But we do have temporary employees that are still currently,
Right.
Absolutely.
yes, I think that's what he was asking.
Yeah, that was my question.
Okay. No, nobody new, but
Okay.
who's there has been there.
Second comment, dealing with payroll. Well, this is, never mind, this is payroll purchase orders. So it'd be something else, never mind.
Thank you.
You haven't seen any of the,
Further discussion?
that's all of
Call for the vote.
Trammell,
that. Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Yes.
Smith, Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Okay. Item J, approve accepting a bid from Key Maintenance for Salt Branch South Tributary Ditch Repair in the amount of $233,250 to be paid, excuse me, from Street and Drainage Improvement Sale Account 14-145-5092. No other bids received. Do you have a motion for discussion?
Make the motion.
Second.
We have a motion from Chitwood for discussion and a second from Mr. Gantier. I pulled this, I just wanted to make sure that the council was aware that there was only one bid. The engineer's estimate was $180,000 and some change, and the only bid came in at $233,250. I wanted to make sure that I had everybody's buy-in on that.
Could,
What do we have in that account? How much?
I didn't bring that.
and I would like
These
to,
projects were projected earlier out. What did we say that was? 5092. We have 808,000.
Yeah, there's 808,000 in there.
Keep in mind, though, we do, I believe, still have some other projects out there and pending, and some that were just finished and to be done.
can Buddy come up and just address this a little bit?
Buddy, can you come up and address it? He said no.
No, I don't think so.
I just want to get your feelings on it, that's all.
Oh, well, I mean, if you was asking me how I think they was talking about, no, I wasn't in on the conversations for the drainage. It was Steve and Larry was the one that handled everything. I was handling everything else on the other side. But, I mean, for the flooding, yeah, I mean, we get lots of rain and stuff. I mean, I have not gone over there and actually got out and walked to see exactly what they're talking about. I know there's a lot of drainage that goes out of town that needs attention, because that was one of our problems that we had here a while back with that 100-year rain that we had that flooded everything. We had, what was it, 8 inches in an hour or something like that. And the problem, I mean, with a normal rainfall that we get, if we get, you know, a couple inches within, you know, 5, 6 hours, everything, I mean, it drains fairly nice. It takes 2, 3, maybe sometimes 4 hours to go down, but a lot of our problem is when the drainage that's going out of town, that's, when it builds up there, then it builds up downstream, and then it builds back up into the city of Pryor. That's a lot of our problems. We've got several others that's the same way, that eventually, I mean, we're gonna have to address, you know, like for the west side of town, we have one over there, then we have another one, like Dog Pound Road, we got another one down through there that needs to be, but I mean, yeah, if there's anything that's blocking, I mean, eventually something's gonna have to be done, either the property owner or, the city gets either temporary or, full easement on those. I mean, they do need to be cleaned out because it would help with the flow of water. We have a lot of water on, North Elliott that comes down.
My biggest question to you would be the additional 50,000-ish that's coming. Is that gonna adversely affect you elsewhere? Is it something we need to look at a little longer, or is it something we need to do?
Well, I'm not sure what other projects that we're looking at, but there's more in there than what I realized.
Okay.
I was thinking we had just a little over 600,000 the last time I seen, but yeah, but no, that should not be any type of adverse thing on me right now. We've got, street projects are covered so far.
Chris, this is part of the Salt Creek Basin Area project from up on the north end of town that affects wards 1 and 2. It's been an ongoing project for at least probably 4 years or so. In about 2020, there was a whole group of people from the north end of town that came up here and flooded the city council wanting some action on what was gonna be done. The city went and hired an engineer to go in and do a big study with the Salt Creek Basin project in several different phases. This is the next phase of that, and it's gonna, the people of wards 1 and 2 in the north end of town were promised that we were gonna start fixing this. And this is, I think, phase 2 of this project. And it is very vital to the people in the north end of town that we get this done. And it's been on the books for quite a while.
There are two, just for clarification, there are 2 parts to what we're going to be addressing on the Salt Branch in this area. One is clearing the, we've gained access to the easements. All of those have been granted on all of the properties from all of the property owners. One part of the project will include cleaning up the drainage that comes off of North Elliott through the Nunley property. Dr. Nunley, if you're not familiar with that, we can show you on maps.
I'm familiar.
That'll go through there. That'll shore up with block and riprap, the part of the tributary that is eroding away, and the design is that it will shoot that water down the correct tributary and not flood the whole north part of town. The second part of the project goes to the west side of the tracks, the property that heads directly west off over, was that 429 out that, whatever that is?
Maple Street,
Northwest
Northwest 5th intersection.
And that's clearing it out so that it can drain properly. That's where we've discussed that the property owner had mentioned that there were, from times of past, when we didn't get rid of cars, we just buried them. There were cars in the stream that were showing evident that have been there for decades. They've asked that we not move those. We can't move them because now they affect the flow of the water. But we can go in and we can clean up the debris, the trees and things that are of a certain size. And so that's what this whole project is to get that water moving so that, you know, the likes of Miss LaValle aren't having to swim every time we have a major rain. And if you've been up there during that time on North Elliott, where the transition from the new street to the old, it can get upwards of, up to 6 to 8 inches deep on Elliott, and then their properties flood. The idea is this will get that water moving, knock on wood.
I think there's 5 phases to this project, and phase 1 was done in 2021. And this particular contractor was the only bidder tonight, is the one that had that phase one project. And this area that he's talking about out west of Highway 69 is phase two. It's on the books. And as these phases go on down the road, the engineers' estimates are all from like 2021 timeframe. But they are expected to get increase in their cost as we go along. And I think maybe phase 4 or 5 in there, estimated back then was like in the millions of dollars. And it's gonna affect putting in retention ponds and stuff kind of to the east and Bonnie and south of, I guess it would be Clayton Road.
Yeah.
But this is an ongoing project. It's gonna be, we're looking at for several more years to try to get it fixed.
Aren't you gonna have to work with ODOT and, Katie too, to try to get something done under their bridges and under 69 highway to get that flow to work?
Yeah, because last letter that I had talked, or that I seen that the discussion was that before the railroad would do anything, that the city of Pryor has to do their part, and then they would come back in to do. So, because the only way to alleviate the water on North Elliott, and that's to put underground drainage in, and last time we checked, and that's been several years ago, was like $350,000. And that's just to do that one block. And we're gonna try to, you know, but the street will have to be worked because the water, you have crowning your road on both sides. One side, you have nothing but utilities, so we'd have to, I guess, work with utilities to move everything. So, but then you'd have to redo the road where you could flow all the water either to one side. So that's gonna be another probably couple $100,000 just for that or more.
At least.
And another point to add is, where this drainage crosses the Nunley driveway, it's quite a lengthy drive. We're projecting to put in about a 16-foot swath that would allow that water to channel down there, but we also have a culvert in their drive. There's 3 culverts, and the large and middle one is completely collapsed. And so we need to replace that, get the water moving, and it is a project in the best interest of the city.
And all these landowners involved in the project have agreed to let the city have an easement or a temporary at least easement to get this done and not have to purchase anything. They've all been agreeable.
Yes.
This one, make one thing clear, like I said, I know used to, we said we always, you know, we tried to get a full easement off of it. Because if we go with the temporary, then we come back and then, again, like the easements we have right now, you know, we had to go retrieve the 2 trees out of the drainage over on that one part. So, and as long as the business owners know that, or the property owners know that if it's a temporary easement, we're not allowed, once this is done, we're not allowed back on there to, so if they call and say, hey, you know, we got a tree that fell over into here, it does not fall back to the city to be able to get back on or do that, because was just a temporary easement. And the reason I mentioned that, because I've dealt with that in the past. So so when you're in your wards or whatever, they come back and they call you about that. So if it's a temporary, once the job is done, it goes back to the homeowner. So.
Does that help? Kind of everybody understand that project?
You're also drainage coming off of the new housing addition out.
Yep. Hopefully that'll,
That should not increase,
all right.
Appreciate it somewhere else.
close to not.
Do we have further discussion on this item? If not, let's call for the vote.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell.
Yes.
Okay. Item M, if you would, we have in your packet, let me find it and then I'll read it. Approve the 2024 City of Pryor Creek Municipal Utility Board Holiday Calendar. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion from Choya and a second from Chitwood. The discussion is, as we go forward, discussion came up, we began talking. My interest for this conversation specifically goes to Wednesday, June 19th. Juneteenth is a federal holiday. It's recognized by, well, it's a federal holiday. Everybody that recognizes federal holidays, that is not on our calendar. And I would like to entertain that we add that so that we are respectful to the purpose of that holiday.
How about Good Friday.
How about Good Friday?
It's not a federal holiday.
Okay,
So we're at 13 now.
okay,
So it looks like it was gonna cost like 44,000, I believe is what we came up with.
44,900 to add 2 holidays.
Add 2 holidays.
well, at this point, the other one on the discussion is, and let me tell you, it was a discussion, just for 2024. 4th of July is on a Thursday. And so we had just talked about that Friday, having that Friday off. You know, we did not provide raises or increases to our employees. My thought was I would like to give them something that says, you're not forgotten. I definitely would entertain that we, regardless of what the decision is, we add June 19th, given that that's a federal holiday.
So-
I'd like the discussion and your thoughts on what we're talking about.
So Juneteenth is a federal holiday.
Yep.
It is not a state holiday.
Correct.
As far as the day after the 4th of July, I have worked for the federal government for 32 years, and I have taken a leave every day of July 5th whenever it has fallen either on a Monday or a Friday. That is not granted to me. And it is not a state holiday either.
Yes, we're not saying that that is a state or federal holiday on July 5th. It was discussion, just to bring it up. That's all that was. My mind immediately went to play that day out in your mind on how that's going to work for an individual who's enjoyed their 4th, and we have a Friday, and then we have a weekend, and so it's just discussion, wholesome discussion.
Mayor, I've got a question then.
Yes, sir.
This is gonna cost an estimated $44,918 to do both holidays. And granted, one is in the new fiscal year.
Correct.
Or the next fiscal year, and one is in this current year. Were these in your budget? And is this, and if they weren't,
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
For the majority of the employees, such as my employees, they're either gonna work the holiday or they're gonna get paid time off for the holiday. So we're gonna spend the same amount of money, if not a little bit more, because we work 9-hour days in here. So
so you're saying it's not gonna cost any extra?
for employees like mine that work Monday through Friday, no, because you're either gonna pay them for being in office or you're gonna pay them for being off for the holiday.
To answer your question, June 19th was not in our budget this year. But as we went and we reviewed, yeah, we'd have to add that to next year, to the calendar. But we've had several conversations about it. We've had several department heads inquire about it politely and professionally inquire about it. And I think it would be appropriate to add that holiday at the end of the year. We would have to just discuss, and again, there's absolutely nothing that says I'm pushing for July 5th off. What I am saying is, I think, you know, the natural man is not gonna be as productive the day after the 4th of July for a one-day work and then a weekend. So
But they have the option to take the day off as a day of leave, right?
they absolutely could.
Depending on the department.
Mr. Mayor, may I speak on that?
You sure can.
Personally, I agree with Juneteenth. It is a federal holiday. It is a federal banking holiday, so the banks and post offices are closed for that day. However, on July the 5th, what you're proposing also affects the deposits that are made for MUB. And what happens here also affects them. And as your treasurer, I'm concerned about deposits not being made on that day, and potential interest that could be earned on deposits
Sure.
on that day. I understand, and I personally probably will take a vacation day myself. However, I have to disagree with the fact that because the banks are open and because it is a regular working day, that should be
A regular
a
one.
regular working day with deposits being made.
Well, I respect that input. Yeah, thank you. That's a good point.
Thank you, Lori, I appreciate that.
And again, this is just a discussion, and it was something that we had brainstormed and thought, hey, if we can wing it, wing it.
I would like to make,
Since,
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
since this does affect MUB, were they in on the discussion of this?
No,
and
they
did
were
they?
Yes, they
are
were. I
pushing-
did call
yes.
them, and Jared was okay with both days.
He said it was
He
going,
said that?
he said it's gonna
Jared, I
cost
spoke with
about-
Jared specifically.
He said
Does
it
the
would cost
board-
him up about $17,000 for a day. That's what it's cost him for his employees, 4 days, about 17 grand.
Because you were saying that it's gonna cost, that it's not gonna really cost any extra because they're gonna work or not, but I know that they were real adamant that it was gonna cost them out of their budget $17,000 that they.
Well, it will cost us too, because
Yeah.
if they choose to take the day off, they'll burn vacation time. So if we give them an extra day off, they still have that vacation time that later on will come. I'm just gonna speak this, my opinion. We're having a budget problem, that's why we're not hiring new people. And to lose productivity by giving them an extra 2 days off right now, timing, this is 3 weeks of vacation, having this many days off. To me, I just don't see where financially it's a wise decision at this point.
Okay.
You had mentioned, Mr. Chris, what about the board itself? Have they given you any?
They have
input?
not had that on their agenda.
Okay,
In respect, like Courtney said, she talked to Jared.
okay,
It's his department.
okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Smith.
if I observe this right, the state has 11 holidays. The county commissioners have 12. We have 13, wanting 15.
We're wanting to add Juneteenth. I wanted the discussion on the 5th. So again, let me reiterate clearly, I'm not pushing for the 5th. If we thought that the council would be in agreement to give that day or could swing it, we wanted respectfully, Courtney and I discussed this, bringing this to you guys for discussion. Okay? I'm open for discussion. I'm not dead
No.
set on July 5th.
Not being the bad guy, but our money situation evidently is not improving at all. And I don't know what effort we've made to reduce spending. I don't know that we shouldn't be looking at taking 2 days off instead of adding 2.
What if we kept the 13 days, but what if we picked our holidays that were federal holidays that we had to go off, and then give our employees the ability to choose the other days that they may want to have off that year? Would that?
It's still gonna adversely affect us economically, and right now.
No, I mean, we're already there. We're already at 13, so.
Oh, you're talking about staying at the 13?
Staying at 13, and then we'll have, I'm just looking at this, like New Year's, okay, probably we'll have to have Martin Luther King Day off, because that's another federal holiday. Then it would go to Memorial Day, Juneteenth, Independence Day, Labor Day, the 2 days at Thanksgiving and 1 day at Christmas. So that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's 9 that you would have to have, and then you could give those other 4 days to make the 13 we already have, and everything would be even. They could choose between what other holidays they'd like to have off. If they'd like to have the 5th of July off, that's part of their package, so.
Currently, our
let me
handbook does
input
not
real
allow
quick.
that.
Huh?
Currently, our policies and procedures do not allow that.
Oh,
The only people that get to choose the holidays that they take off are the police department, fire, I believe, too, maybe the rec center.
What would we have to do to change that?
We'd have to change our handbook,
Bargaining agreement.
yeah.
Would have to be reviewed.
Or what?
We'd have to.
No, not the bargaining, I'm talking about for the rest of the city. For my employees to choose their days, we would have to change our policies.
How tough would that be?
How tough are you guys gonna make
I'm
it?
putting stuff out there. I'm putting stuff out there to be for the employee, really.
Right.
Well,
Give
and,
them a choice.
you know,
Does that sound
I
doable?
will advocate the
Yeah.
way that I always do. Again, I mentioned it, and I hear what, you know, the left side is saying. But I will tell you that we did not provide for our employees, because we could not, a raise. I think the very least I would request of the council is to add June 19th and leave the holidays as they are. I'm not sold on July 5th either way. It was a discussion. I think, we can say the overall majority is that that's an out, but I would say we add Juneteenth. We have to take care of our employees.
What about October 14th? We haven't talked about it. It's a federal. Is it currently a city?
We currently
Yes.
take that off.
Yeah,
All those on there are, except the,
And we did discuss the options of other holidays, which ones, and
It's not state.
I think given where we live, Indigenous Peoples' Day is probably not one we want to remove. I'm not putting Veterans Day or Thanksgiving on the table, nor Christmas or Christmas Eve. Those are not up for discussion. New Year's Day, Martin Luther King Day, those are all things we need to look at.
So the
Again,
one that's not either federal or state is
Friday?
March 29th, Good Friday.
yeah.
Do what?
hey, there are department heads that do buy lunches for everybody in their department, so that may not be a bad idea, huh?
Okay. Further discussion on this? We seem to not really have a set answer. Or do we want some time to think about it?
I think it'd be best to table this and bring it back and discuss, because I know as it is, I'm not gonna vote to increase anything due to our current fiscal situation.
Yeah, let's table it.
I can change my motion to table until we can get more information.
That'll work. Well, I don't know what more information you're looking for. It's
Well,
just give
what
you guys
would
time to
change,
think.
what would we have to do to change it to see if they could make this choice of theirs available?
I'll tell you what, if the council will table it, we will have that discussion this week.
I
All that would
personally am in
require
favor of voting on this thing and get it done tonight and add the Juneteenth holiday and forget the 5th of July.
I agree with that.
I would be okay with that.
Okay, well, that's what I'll change my motion to then.
To add the Juneteenth
After
and
Juneteenth,
leave the rest as
and
they stand
the
without.
5th of July would have to be,
Okay. Do I have a second?
that would make us 14.
Who seconded?
And that one's not gonna happen anyway until next fiscal year, so.
Correct.
it's
We have
really
time.
a moot point right now.
Chitwood was the second.
Okay. And you changed your motion?
I changed the motion to add Juneteenth.
But you do not want to include,
Not
July
to
5th,
include
Not
July
correct.
technically
5th.
the 5th, it's not.
Okay. I'll amend my second.
When you're ready, call for the vote. Do we know what we're voting on? Is everybody clear on that? Okay.
Smith,
No.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes,
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
I'm gonna abstain.
Trammell,
No.
Gantier.
No,
That is 4 yeses, 3 nos, and 1 abstain.
The abstain is a no, so that's a tie, so I say yes.
abstain counts as a no vote.
That's
They
what I
do.
said. We
Yeah.
were 4-4. That passes. All right, item U.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
point of order. If I'm not mistaken, when we covered letter J, I think you asked for a motion to discuss. I don't know that we had a motion to approve.
We did have a motion and a second to approve.
Yeah.
He said the word discuss after that. That's not what he
Yeah,
meant.
we're good
Okay, I
there.
just
His-
want to make,
I said,
I just wanted to make sure
But we
that-
did vote on it.
We did,
Okay.
Yeah,
I
we're,
just wanted to make sure that we did
Okay.
what we had to do on that one.
yes.
I appreciate the watchful eyes, Mr. Gantier, keeping us on our toes. All right, item U, acknowledge receipt of COPS hiring program grant from the Department of Justice in the amount, of $125,000 to fund the salary of a police officer in the Narcotics Division for 3 years. Grant funds will be deposited and expended from Police COP Hiring Program Grant Account 02-215-5017. Do you have a motion for discussion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, a motion from Choya, I'm sorry, and a second from Mr.
Would this
Valor.
be a new hire, or is this gonna pay for one of our existing?
I'll explain
I'm
all
gonna
that.
let Mr. Chief Cantrell explain.
When I took over, one of the goals that I had after talking to the people in the town was the narcotics division, because it's a bad problem in town, and there was nothing done in Pryor at the time I was here. So the last 17 years, there's really not been a narcotics officer focused on narcotics. So that was one of the areas that I focused on. So we pulled the grant writer in, we sat down, she wrote this grant, in coordination with we looked at statistical data, as far as our drug problem in town. And the Department of Justice awarded the grant, and what it's gonna do is promote an officer, to the narcotics division, and then we'll backfill that spot with a entry-level officer. It's $125,000 over 3 years, and I think, what was the yearly?
40.
The city was gonna be out of pocket for the officer.
34.
$34,000. So it'd be right at $34,000 for an officer is what the city's gonna be out. I'm asking for 2 officers later in the agenda, and we could use one of those spots for that. Those are 5 budgeted spots. This one could fill into that, and if we don't have the money in January to fill the 2, we could at least do the 1. And kind of talk about, the FOP wrote me a letter, when we were talking about the hiring freeze. I wrote you guys a letter myself, kind of laying it out, trying to be transparent, giving you a couple weeks to look at it, to think about it. That way, you guys had an idea of where we were going with the department. Kind of some things that we've done since I took over in May. When I took over, there were 6 2022 Ford Explorers sitting back there, not rigged out at all. They've been sitting there over a year. So one of the first things I did was, our maintenance was killing us. It was $140,000. So I started getting those units online. As of today, we have 5 of those units out. We got 1 in the shop getting rigged out. And so all 6 of those units will be online, and our maintenance is starting to fall. Another thing I did, I was driving that new Tahoe, and I saw that, we could use that online and save us some money. So I gave that to Patrol, and I took a 2014 Ford pickup. So I'm driving the old truck. Patrol has a new vehicle, which put another unit down online and also lowered the cost. We've gotten this year, since May, $80,000 from Cherokee Nation. We've gotten a Highway Safety Office grant of $27,000. The Oklahoma Safe grant, which will buy portable breath tests for officers, in the amount of $10,755, and then this grant of $125,000. Just to show you that we're doing our part on our department, that's a total of $334,000 this year, as far as grant money awarded to the department. I missed the DVO grant, so we have a domestic violence officer, and we actually have a phone call tomorrow morning on that, and we've got it for 16 years, so we should get that one too. That's a $91,000 grant. So what this grant does, like I said, it pays for an entry-level officer, so we can move somebody strictly narcotics. They're gonna be under the detective umbrella, so they can also work major crimes, but their main focus will be those areas.
Can you use this grant to pay the salary of an existing officer?
No.
No,
You have to hire.
Correct.
and it must be an entry-level officer at step 1.
So by us taking advantage, let's look at this as the glass is either half full or half empty. If we take advantage of this grant, we're basically getting an officer that's gonna, in my calculations, it looks like about 52% of the salary and benefits, everything is gonna be covered by this grant. Well,
It
let me
covers,
finish.
okay.
But if the glass is half empty, we're still gonna be paying $34,174 a year. You called it the city's responsibility, which is, over the life of the grant, $102,000. We are not even covering, we did not generate revenues in September that were enough to even cover our salaries in the general fund. So why in the heck would we take on additional salaries? And I understand the pain. I've said it a million times here. I understand the pain.
Just to give you an idea
But-
of what the patrol, they work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, weekends, holidays, it doesn't matter. We're running 64 calls per day. That's 12,500 calls they ran since May.
I get that.
You're working these guys in the dirt. They need help.
I get that, but, and here was what I was gonna say next. You know, you look, in the general fund, you look at revenues, you look at expenses, and then you look at the fund equity balance. The fund equity is our savings account. It's our cash in the bank, our savings account. When we started, the July statement was 1.6 million. We are down to like 900 and something now. We are living on cash. And that cash is gonna dry up. And when that cash dries up, we're not gonna be able to pay any salaries. And I said it whenever we did the hiring freeze in August, I said we need to start thinking about issuing warn letters now of pending layoffs. We are at that point where warn letters need to be going out. We are in dire, dire financial trouble in this city. And I don't know how many more times I'm gonna say it. We are on the verge of bankruptcy, and we will probably be bankrupt. If we go the rest of the 3 quarters, this city will be bankrupt before the fiscal year is up.
And I want to
And
say that I
will
concur with
hang
what he's
my
saying.
hat on that.
Can I
But I do
say,
want to ask a question as far as a
So,
point of
hang
order.
on, let me finish. There's two solutions here. We either generate revenues or we cut expenses. And I am killing myself trying to figure out how to generate additional revenues. Looks like a liquor tax is not gonna pan out, but there may be another option that we need to talk about. But if you start talking about cutting expenses, the analysis I did tonight is in July, in the general fund, salaries, benefits, and overtime represented 92% of our general fund expenses. In August, that dropped to 83%. In September, our salaries, benefits, and overtime were 148.9% of our revenues. So if you start talking about cutting expenses in the general fund, you can cut everything but salaries, and you're still not gonna make it. You have to cut salaries.
I think it's important to note that we all knew going into this year that September was gonna carry some extra payroll with it. That's not new, that's not a secret. We had a lot of events in our community that required that. That is not a surprise. We knew that was gonna happen. You know, again, I think we need to get on the agenda item here.
Well,
whether
point of order.
You can't talk about this without talking about the financial situation in the city. And you know, you said in July, whenever I brought this up, you said, well, we've got some unique expenses. And then in August, you said, well, we've got some unique expenses. And now, well, we've got all these unique expenses. Every month seems to be a unique expense, but we're just exacerbating the situation. This is not your problem. You didn't cause this. This was the prior administration.
Thank you for that recognition. I appreciate that.
This was the prior administration. But it's up to your administration and it's up to this city council to save this city. And the only way we're gonna do it is to talk about the elephant in the room. We are not generating revenues enough to cover our expenses in the general fund, period. And our cash surplus isn't going to run out in the next few months unless we turn this around.
And like I said, I want to say I agree with everything he says. I do want to ask a question, point of order. With the current hiring freeze in place that has not changed on the general budget, are we even allowed to entertain this discussion?
I think you can, because you're not actually hiring anybody at this
You're
point.
just acknowledging, so.
Okay.
I mean, back to your point, yes, I'm willing to acknowledge this, and you know, we're down the agenda, you have it again to start accepting applications. I don't have a problem with that. But I'm telling you, whenever we come to January at the midpoint, we're gonna be hard pressed.
You understand, I've been a city employee for
I get
15 years, and
I
I've
get it.
heard this a lot over those 15 years. So what you're saying, I've heard almost every year for 15 years. I've lived it. I lived that salary. I was that low man on the pole that heard Jimmy Trammell say the same thing. I've been there. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I also, as a police chief, have to do my due diligence. You heard the fraternal order of police up here talking. If an officer gets hurt, I've done my job. I've tried, and I've got grants. I've done everything I can. I've sold everything we've got at the police department. I've done everything I can to generate revenue. When you're hiring other places, whether, I don't want to get into that debate, but you're going to hold your emergency services up when there's a $125,000 grant there.
No, and that's why I said, is the glass half full or half empty? I get that. And it's not your job to generate revenues. It's not. It's this council's job.
But I want to show that I busted my butt
No,
to do
I
everything
get-
I can.
And I get that, and I understand. The one key thing that did jump out at me is your salaries are on target. I mean, we're a quarter into the fiscal year, and you have literally spent 26% of your budgeted salary. So you're on target with you're doing that. I'm saying that due diligence there. But I'm just telling you, we got to start bringing expenses down, or we
Can I
got to
please
raise
say
revenue.
a
I'm gonna
few
give the
things?
floor to Ms. Davis for a minute.
Thank you. So this grant was actually applied for, by the way, May 11th, so way before we could, have this, and also can I see your financial statement?
Turn that microphone.
What page did we get there, please?
Where is,
While she's looking up that, Chief, can I ask you a question, not counting the school resource officers? How many, people do we have that are on the force that actually patrol?
19.
And that's what-
it's just on page.
You got 5-day shift, 5 night shift, 17 shift.
That's if
17.
That's if they're all working every day,
Correct.
excluding days off, sick time,
Yeah, that's,
Holiday,
training.
So how many officers do we actually have on the force?
7, 7.
but my
How many, Mr. Trump?
What
30.
page?
Page two,
three.
three, sorry. This is the number in our bank account. Not this. This is how much money we have, not that.
Total liabilities and equity.
This is how much money our bank account has,
Well, what is,
not 900.
what is the liability?
So how do we have liabilities in our bank account?
That means we got holds or liens against it, evidently.
No, liabilities are different kinds of things. We have liabilities, we have equity.
Mr.
All of
Lamar.
that is in this.
While they're doing their sidebar,
Did-
As of September.
Were you able to come up with the number?
Can we, hey, guys, I want to make sure
28 total.
Can we kind of
we are in an open
keep some
meeting.
order? We need to keep some order, please. Mr. Lamar?
we have to do due diligence as a council to try to do what's best for the city overall. I hear Chief Cantrell, I hear Courtney in their needs for people. We also have a budget. And to me, this is just me individually sitting over here trying to try to make a decision on what's best, whether to hire Courtney somebody or Chief Cantrell some more people, or do anything that's gonna cost big money. We've got to know exactly, I think, we as a council have to know exactly how are we doing financially. I mean, I don't know, I respect and trust Councilman Trammell down there because he's a budget guy. I hear this from him. I hear it from Councilman Smith. I don't know where they get all their figures from. We get our report 2 months behind. We have yet really to have any input from Coker, our city auditor, to get him in here and to give us some advice on this, but to give us a real good grasp on how to go with these issues. Do you not agree that we need to know what our situation is really like? And are we in the financial trouble that they say we are down there? And why can we not get Coker or somebody to come in here and give us the exact?
So I've had that discussion with Mr. Colker, just so everybody is aware, public, everybody that's listening to this conversation. Mr. Colker just returned from a month-long vacation this week. The discussion has been had before he left. The discussion has been had since. He wasn't able to make it tonight, but that discussion on explanation and clarification for the whole council and the community, that discussion is in motion.
He's
So,
planning for next council meeting.
yes.
Good.
So we're not leaving you high and dry. And again, let me reiterate, and again, I know, Mr. Lamar, you didn't mean it to sound this way. When you say that these items are coming out 2 months behind, there's nothing we can do about that. That's how the process works. There's about a 50-day delay when the money is sold at the store and we get to hand it to you. There's nothing we can do about that. The numbers that came out this week, last week I couldn't have given them to you. I sat in a meeting with a councilman this week and said, well, we've asked for numbers and they always come late. Well, guess what? If you ask me for last month's numbers, I'm not gonna give them to you till next month because we won't have them. I can't be any more clear on that. I continue to hear to the arguments of where we're at. We ask and we don't get it. Well, you're not gonna get it till it's ready. There's processes that take place. I don't care if it's Pryor, Salina, Locust Grove, or Manhattan, New York. It isn't gonna happen. We can't give you last month's numbers 2 days after the month ends. It isn't gonna happen. You'll get numbers about the middle of the month, like you did here, that are for the month previous to last. Did I say that right?
2.5 months.
Close.
Yes.
We are getting a lot faster at doing it.
The processes that we're
It's gotta
doing,
come through the state of Oklahoma, though.
Yeah.
but again, I think we've diverged off track, and I know you guys want to talk about this whole thing. I want to kind of keep us honed in on item U. We went from discussing accepting a grant to our whole budget scenario.
Well, that
Well,
was my fault.
Can I ask, I actually was talking when the mayor went off on that, but I have one more question for you, and then I'll shut up. Surely you are in touch somehow or another with the city treasurer or Coker. I don't care if he's been on vacation for a month. Surely you have some idea of where we are, and I'm asking you, to your knowledge, are we in as much financial trouble that they think we are?
So I'll give you an answer, and this answer, you take it for what you want. Take it as a political answer, take it as the truth. I don't feel that we are on the verge of bankruptcy. I don't see that. I don't feel those numbers. My discussion with Mr. Colker before he left, it was a Friday, and he was ready to get out of town. He's had a crazy season. He didn't feel that either.
Okay.
He didn't feel that we were much off track from where we've been in the past. And if you remember, much like Chief had said, in 2017, I believe, it was pass this tax or you're all getting a layoff. And the mayor at the time hopped on a plane, left the country, and the council, Mr. Troy, I think you were on the council at that time, we were left blindsided with letters that everybody got in their pay stubs that said, you're laid off or else. And I went in and we discussed this. We weren't even close to that scenario. I'm not playing those games. I feel that we are comfortable. I feel like the discussion and the instruction to my department heads, I've got several of them in here, is that they're doing a great job minimizing what they spend. Now, we can sit here and nitpick every little purchase, but in the words of Mr. Colker, who gives a damn about donuts? $20 isn't gonna make or break our budget. And he sat here and listened as he watched it at home. I don't know why we even talked about donuts. Who cares? That's not the problem in this city. It's not the little purchases, and I get it. Some people, it's here or there. We work on a year-long fiscal, it's fiscal, not physical. We work on a year-long fiscal budget. We do get monthly reporting. But much like every other industry outside of home and personal financing, you're not gonna be looking like a millionaire the first 2 quarters of the year. It doesn't work that way. Our budget is set up based on the projections that we will see at the end of the fiscal year, not on what we have day one of July 1st. And to think otherwise is silly. It's irresponsible, and it's not the right way. We project we're gonna have that money throughout the year. If you look at the sales tax numbers that have been provided to you, we are on track, and in the words of Mr. Colker, we're on track for $12 million a year, which will set a record for the city. Our sales are coming in, our taxes and things, but we also have to remember that the price of things is going up. We're in a different era. So we have to be real. Nobody's avoiding that conversation. Nobody's avoiding the fact that insurances have, let me tell you, it's not the salaries. We had this discussion today. We broke it down. Courtney and I broke it down. It's the insurances. That's out of our control. You know, if we want to sit here and say, well, let's save some money, let's take away our employees' insurance. Hey, that's on you guys. I won't be in favor of that, but I do think that we have to realize that until we get to the middle to end of Q3, we're gonna look like every other community on the planet. Right before this meeting, I was on the phone with Mayor Salina, and he confirmed that it's the same there. It's the same in every community around us. We've got to get off of this hiatus that we don't have 10 million in our bank account July 1st, we're bankrupt. It's not responsible, it's not realistic, and it's not how it works. And so my answer is, when I talked to Mr. Colker, he agreed. We need to do some educating. We need to do some talking. He's not worried about the little stuff.
Can I change my motion then to table this until we have that discussion with Mr. Coker?
We need to either accept the grant, we could lose the grant if we don't accept it.
If-
Now, you don't have to fill it.
Accept
But
it,
if we do this now and the people here say, no, you've lost it anyway. So if we can table this until we can talk to Mr. Coker, you could possibly save it.
It could be gone. I think you take it to the vote and try.
So I just want to be clear, you know, and I don't have the numbers, I don't have the, you know, I need to get access to those and see some things, and I would love to hear from Colker. I know it's like.
Now you have the numbers.
I have the numbers. But just kind of, I just want to be clear on this, and then I want to just say a couple of things. So I think we need to be really careful of operating out of fear. You know, I was in education for years when it was in dire straits. I mean, it was, you know, and taught a lot of kids in a classroom, and burnouts are a real deal, and the safety of my city is very important to me, and I think it's important to the people, other people in the city, and so I say that. I obviously want to be responsible with numbers and monies and such, but I also don't want to operate out of fear of the unknown of what may or may not happen, which of course is why I need to probably look at this and hear from Colker. But I would say that it sounds like, and this is where I want to be clear, just acknowledging the receipt of this grant, you're not going to take any action yet.
Correct.
As far as hiring anybody and doing those things, it would just be to accept the grant, and if that doesn't happen, then you lose
$125,000.
Is that what is that?
Correct. We accept the grant. We give them the notification that we've accepted it. We have a meeting with the grant writer tomorrow, and then I open applications to start, you know, to fill the spot. That's got to come back before council, and it's going to be.
But the word that was given to us over here was that you have to hire a new employee.
If we proceed that way, but we can always drop out of it if we can't. You know, if we don't accept it, the DOJ can take their money back and say, sorry, we're going to give it to another community that wants it.
How long do you have to actually hire into it?
She said, I talked to Danielle today, the grant writer, and she said because I kind of gave her a timeline of what I thought, you know, the January timeline on hiring, and she said that would be fine. So she said if we waited till January as far as the hiring process, you know, to bring it back before council, that wouldn't be an issue.
I'm concerned with the way it's worded. It says, acknowledge receipt of the COPS hiring program grant from the Department of Justice in the amount of $125,000 to fund the salary of a police officer. In other words, if we do this, then it's authorized to fund the salary.
I attempted to ask the motion to be amended because of a Scrivener's error, but nobody let me talk, so.
And Courtney's been helping with this grant. All these grants run through Courtney, run through Danielle. We work together, I mean, on this all the time.
So what's the Scrivener's error?
That it's not gonna be funding the salary of a police officer in the narcotics division. It's actually going to be the salary of just an officer in general,
Entry-level
yeah.
patrol.
A new
The
hire.
narcotics division doesn't really need to be there.
So the narcotics division has nothing to do with this grant.
It does, but it doesn't. It's kind of confusing. So they're going to be working over doing that kind of work, but the grant isn't specific to say this person is gonna be doing narcotics.
The statistical data that we have to gather off this, to go for, you've got a every quarter report, goes off the narcotics. So yes, it is directly related to narcotics division. The funding on it goes to entry-level officer. You're not gonna put an entry-level officer into narcotics
No,
division.
right.
So that's where the funding comes in. The funding goes to that, but the officer that's gonna do narcotics is who
So
the grant's written for.
what you end up doing here is you end up moving somebody, probably a detective,
Correct.
into this position. And if you figure the $125,000 for 3 years, then you're figuring basically his basic salary. So the city's gonna take care of his benefit package, right?
It'd be the entry-level officer.
No,
That-
you'll still have to take care of your other officers.
You're already paying him.
package too.
It's already in the budget.
He's already paid,
Yeah.
he's not a new
Okay,
hire.
okay,
He's already figured in, it'd be a new hire. That's-
okay, so
So
it'll be,
Jeremy, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Jeremy, if you take an existing detective and just, you're gonna keep him a detective, but you're gonna move him to the narcotics division.
Correct.
Then that's gonna open up another vacancy with your other detectives.
No, it will not, because this is a new position as far as the new, and I can explain that in a executive session maybe, further detail.
Well, no, I mean, I don't need to go that way. I'm just saying, I'm just wondering if it's gonna create another vacancy
will
in your
not.
detective division that you'll have to move a patrolman up to. Okay, that's all.
There will be no more movement there.
But you'll have to hire a new patrolman.
Correct,
But tonight, all we're doing is just giving you permission to accept the grant.
correct.
Technically, we don't need permission to accept it. We're just acknowledging the receipt of
Whatever.
accepting the grant, but
We're-
yes.
We're acknowledging that you're gonna accept this grant,
Correct.
and that you will eventually come back to this council with a request to hire
Correct.
against that grant.
Or you'll have to give it back.
Correct. We just want to accept it.
There's-
I'd love to at least have the opportunity.
And the way Danielle, so she explained it also, she said, so say this year's budget is not good. You could take more of that 125,000 to get us, you know, say we needed the money to fund that officer throughout this year to get him through, or her, then you could take more of the money and the next year not get as much. So you get 125,000 over a 3-year period. It's broke down to like 41 and something.
But you're not getting it, you're getting it on a monthly basis instead of a.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
that's-
I will
You can
re-
draw more off of the government on that. And she said that when you submit it, you get it that next day, the money.
A monthly,
Monthly, I will report salary and whatever else they require, and then the next day they will refund us what they're,
So how will the motion actually read?
confusing?
Because you said there was an error and there, it's not gonna be a definite hire. How would this motion actually read?
well, if you guys amend the motion, then it would be everything up to police officer, we would scratch out in the narcotics division. That's the only thing that would be removed.
I'll amend my motion to that.
We don't need to say entry level?
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
The grant requires it, so it's still gonna be
Okay.
followed
And,
up.
and one other thing too, we do not have a number 02-215-5017 as of yet.
It's the account's created, I've already created it. It's not gonna show up on your financial statements because
Okay.
there's no money in there.
Okay, all right, that's what I was wondering
Yeah,
about.
it only shows active accounts.
Okay.
So can we vote? How does that work? What do I
For
need
the
to do?
vote.
Anybody
I-
else?
Can I call for a vote?
We should've hurried up and voted before Bruce came back. We know how to-
Well, you don't know how I'm gonna vote. I hadn't said much.
Yeah, that's,
All right, well, Bruce, either way, I want you to know I want your vote, no matter what it is.
It'll be
this
there.
is just to accept it.
All right,
Or acknowledge the receipt?
so we have a call for the vote out there, so.
Okay. Lamar?
A yes is to receive and a no is to not.
Lamar votes yes.
Thank you. Shropshire?
Yes.
Bradshaw?
Yes.
Malure?
Yes.
Chitwood?
Yes.
Trammell?
Yes.
Yes.
Gantier? Smith?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, Jeremy. Didn't mean.
All right, thank you. Item W, approve accepting mayor's nomination of Lori Bradshaw to fill the Budget and Personnel Committee seat vacated by the resignation of Dennis Nance. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion from Choya, a second from Malure. The direction there is simply to plug Mrs. Bradshaw into the vacated spots by Mr. Nance.
Mr. Mayor, the reason I pulled this, and also the reason I abstained, I have not had a chance to get to meet her, know her, don't know anything about her, not against her, not for her, don't know her.
You have a resume in your packet.
Yeah, I saw it, but,
As requested.
something that, important, I would have liked to have had an opportunity to talk. So I'm just saying that I'm not against her, I just don't know.
So, is this, Mr. Mayor, is this to fill, and this is a technical question, I don't know this. Does Mr. Malure as the alternate step up and fill Mr. Nance, or will Ms. Bradshaw?
We would allow the Budget Committee to renominate their own chair,
Okay.
and that would be their decision on who that would be.
Yeah, not, you didn't mean the chair, you mean just the members versus the alternate, or Dennis was not the chair, it's Choya.
Right, so, well, whatever, I mean, he's literally plugging into that spot.
I mean, I don't care either way, it's just, this was more of a technical issue.
The way I read this, the agenda item is that she will replace Nance on that committee. That
Exactly.
means not an alternate. Nance was not an alternate, therefore she will be on the regular budget committee.
Okay.
Okay,
That's the way I interpret it.
call for the vote?
Shropshire?
Yes.
Bradshaw?
Yes. Oh, abstain.
Malure? Malure?
Yes.
Chitwood?
Yes.
Trammell?
Yes.
Gantier?
Abstain.
Smith?
Yes.
Yes.
Lamar?
Ms. Bradshaw, we're loading you up tonight.
Yeah.
We've got you all loaded up tonight.
Yeah, you did.
All right, thank you. We'll continue on Mayor's Report, item D.
We are actually on 5G.
5G.
4D, right?
We didn't do
For
D or
D
E.
is
We didn't do D or E on the.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nope.
I'm just
I
ready
got
to
it.
get the
We're
executive
good.
session.
Come on, I know I missed the roll call, but I'm still with it. Item D, discussion and possible action to allow the chief to start accepting applications to backfill 2 of the 5 budgeted police officer positions. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I have a motion from Chitwood and a second from Choya. Discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I don't have a problem with any of our department heads keeping an active file of potential candidates and applications on hand. That's, to me, it's not a problem.
And that's what he's looking to do, take applications.
The only way that we can use the applications that we accept is if you guys give approval for them
Later on.
to seek applications. So if I were to take an application without asking you guys first, I can't use that person's application when I choose my employee.
Further discussion?
I have no problem, and I told the chief to get ready and take applications. It's gonna be a time, but it's not a guarantee it's gonna happen. We'll have to see when we get there, but being prepared is not gonna hurt a thing.
I will say that, just to add fuel to the fire, I guess, is that in conversation with other law enforcement agencies, it is across the board a challenge to get applications. So I do think that just allowing that process to start lets us open that door and have potential candidates ready.
And what I want to do, it's not part of it, but is Jamal's spot that is vacant, and then this other spot on the grant, is that's what I'm going after, and we can talk a bit more when we go to executive session about the other one. Just start opening applications, because I opened it 3 times last time before I got any good ones.
And how many months did it take you before?
It was,
I know it was a long time, but let everybody know how many.
it's a 6-month process
There you
at
go.
least.
There you go.
And then the 2 that we hired that you guys, before the freeze went on, they're not on the street yet. They're in FTO still. so they're not on their own. I mean, so if you hire one in January, it's summertime before that officer's on the street.
16 weeks.
16-week FTO, but the process to hire, you get the application, the testing, go before the pension board, and then back. So there's a long process to do that. So,
Mr. Mayor, in light of what Courtney was saying, I think I understand. The way this is worded is these applications would be targeted for the 2 of the 5 budgeted positions. Can we consider making the motion to where he can have those that can be used as positions become available for his department? So that if what she's saying is true, so he gets 4 good applicants, but we can only use 2 of them because of the way it's worded? Am I missing something?
Are you saying you want to use those 2 extra applications for a future position?
Yeah, like if he does, in view of the fact that it is hard for him to get good quality applicants.
Let me make this recommendation, if I understand you correct. We could just strike out in that motion 2 of the 5. The verbiage 2 of the 5. Do you understand that correctly, Mr. McBride? Is that?
Yep.
Yep. So it would read, discussion, blah, 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 start accepting applications to backfill budgeted police officer positions.
Well, and you could even strike out backfill, I think is what he's saying.
Yes, because he's in a unique situation. I'd hate for his hands to be tied. The money does come available, but
I would
like
accept that.
she's.
We just have to change the motion if you made the
So
motion.
whoever
I
made-
did.
Okay.
Okay. Change my motion, discussion and possible action to allow the police chief to start accepting applications for the budgeted police officer positions.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Something like that.
You'll change your motion to that?
I changed my motion to that, yeah.
Troy, did
I'll
you have
second
this?
it.
Okay. We'll call for the vote.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire.
Yes,
thank you.
that's a better deal than you started with.
All right, thank you. Item E, discussion and possible action regarding adding fuel tanks to park and cemetery to department properties. Do I have a motion?
Motion to add fuel tanks.
Second.
It's okay. Excuse me, we got a motion from Mr. Gantier and a second from Mr. Chitwood. The idea is it would be reaching out to Agriland, who we've already put in the tanks in our police facility. The empty fill, so from empty to full on those tanks, was considerably less than a normal month's operations. And so as we go through that, I've had the opportunity to talk to some of our employees that use that benefit of having those tanks, and they are loving it. As I talk to the park board, they're in favor of this, to add the same kind of scenario, to reach out to Mr. Long with Agriland and add tanks to, and I didn't put a number of tanks because I want Frank to, he's got some odd scenarios with the park. He's got the park on the west side, he's got the cemetery, and what we want to do is allow him to put those tanks as needed.
Are we gonna have a fenced-in area for that?
So probably not. When I talked to Mr. Long about the cemetery, for example, the scenario that they have now at the cemetery is they have a gravity tank, and people are, it's not hard to steal gas out of a gravity tank if you can punch a hole in it. These are not, as you've seen, if you haven't seen the tanks, I would encourage you to go look at them. They're large and they are not gravity fed, and they would just simply have to remove the electricity, whether we hard install that with a breaker inside or we just unplug an extension cord. It doesn't matter unless you're an OSHA person and realize we can't do the extension cords. But the idea is, OSHA violation, right?
It is.
Yeah, no extension cords. But whatever is proper is what we'll do. The idea is all they have to do is terminate the power, and they will not be able to remove fuel from those pumps. That was
Will they be the same type tanks that we have?
not the same UL rating.
Okay.
It'll be the original, because that was only for
Yeah, bulletproof.
for that emergency facility. And those, again, those tanks are provided at no cost. So what we're looking for is council approval to just make that whole process take place.
One further question.
One.
What are we doing with the street department?
But he's not to the point where he's ready for tanks.
Okay. all right. I just
We,
wanna
we
make
are,
sure
just a heads up,
Are
we
they
are
gonna
doing a
provide
little.
the tanks like they did?
Yeah, that's part of the deal. The sidebar on this is that in Station 2, we still have CNR providing fuel, diesel. Buddy's got some fuel on his. We are trying to do a side-by-side comparison, but that's gonna take several months of looking at numbers and fuel prices. It works to our favor to do it quickly because gas is now down below 3. That means we could potentially get several thousand gallons of gas much cheaper than we got it at the fire station right now. So I'm asking for council approval to make that happen. Further discussion? Call for the vote.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw.
Yes.
One thing on that, I just want to add, as you were voting, we will not have the expense of the electronic thing that we had, so that won't be included in that. Okay? We have, man, okay, item G, we did G, right?
No.
No.
Nope.
F.
All right,
Mayor,
yes.
can we switch it around and do the ordinance readings before we go to the executive session?
No, the addendum.
We could do that. I would respect that. So, that would put us on, you guys hopefully are okay with that, because we're gonna do it. Item J, first reading of an ordinance pertaining to the use of the automated license plate readers. Do I have a motion for discussion?
Motion.
I'll second. Okay, good.
Mr. Mayor, there's never
Excuse me.
been council approval of the ordinance. It was still being worked on and it never came back before, so the council never officially voted for an ordinance. So how are we reading something that hasn't been approved? Furthermore, the one that was in the packet is not the one that we changed. I noticed, where we talked about, permitted by law but required by law. What I had, what I saw online, it was
So-
a wrong copy.
Last discussion, your changes should be in here. If they're not, that needs to be updated.
Yeah.
The reason they're not in there is because nobody amended their motion to include the changes. It was only discussion. It was never voted on.
Mr. Trammell and I worked and made quite a few changes. Those are not in here, but those were not before the council. You've got an issue here, and if someone knows the ordinance, you might, because I've tried to learn this thing in the 2 months I've been your attorney. Your procedure, in your charter, it says that the council gets to choose your own procedure. You then properly did this, created different committees to act for the council, so the council, it can weed stuff out. I mean, that's how cities work. I don't know anywhere in here or like a handbook that tells the relationship between those. So where someone says, okay, we go to the ordinance committee first, then we take it to council, and then back and forth. I don't know where that procedure is. I don't know if you have one.
I have not seen that.
And so I think Pryor has been operating off of, well, that's just the way we've always done it. So one of the questions I was asked, and I think Mr. Trammell was the one that asked me, was, does this need to go back to the committee? And my legal opinion is I have no idea. Because there's no, you have you have an ordinance committee, but there's nothing that tells the relationship between the council and your ordinance committee, what goes back and forth. So because there's nothing, I would think the council can govern all, which means you could probably even bypass a committee if you wanted to. But there's no relationship, so I think there's been questions, does this need to go back to committee for edits? Can we do that here?
Well, I mean, if a committee was created,
The intent,
the intent is to be used.
correct, and it was
Otherwise, we'll have a
used
committee. But my thing is, the council hasn't even voted on anything yet, so how can we have a reading on something that doesn't exist?
to approve.
So the thought process behind this, and we had talked briefly about this in discussion, was it came back to this because the changes that were requested, and this is where we find this black hole, the changes that were requested were never sent back to the ordinance committee.
Yeah.
It was just, hey, I want to make this change. And in that, there's no order. There's nothing there. There's nothing to say. If that were the case, every one of you could make your own rules and we would be a very dysfunctional city.
Well, can we get the changes that have been suggested all the way around and then send it back to the committee?
So my thought process, I'm gonna let Mr. McBride, because that's what he does, recommend. My process in bringing this back was, we need to properly send it back to insurance ordinance. Now, that said, we're going on almost 6 months plus for this, and it was money that was given to us by Cherokee Nation. So in respect to that, I'm gonna encourage the council to speed this process up a little bit. We need to get the ordinance written, and we need to stop grandstanding about why we don't want the damn things, and we need to move on. I'm recommending that we send it back to the Insurance and Ordinance Committee to make those amendments that should be made, that are responsible and respectable, and then when it's ready, send it to the council for approval. If the council doesn't like it, we'll send it back. That would be my understanding of the best responsible way to handle that.
I think that goes in line with the way we've always done it.
And until we get something written, what do? We've said that.
Probably the best thing to do is do it the way we've always done it until we have something that says otherwise.
Then I
So-
believe,
Do you have that amended version?
Yeah, I think I
Ready?
did it that night, in fact, when we were here. I think I did it as you,
Well, we need to set up, when we get to that
I
point.
definitely,
So-
I have his pulled up right now.
So, I mean, should we just not take action on that, other than sending it back to the O and I, and then,
That's what he is recommending, is make a motion to send it back to O and I for O and I probably. So one thing, you guys were in a weird situation on the O and I, because O and I recommended, hey, let's send this version just to see what council thinks. It wasn't actually a recommendation, which at the time was probably a smart thing to do. But I think council at least sounds like, hey, we're ready to have something in front of us, whatever it is. So I think.
Well, I think we need to be careful because, and Mr. Trammell, I know your feelings on this, and I'm trying to be respectful, and I respect your point of view. But I feel that I also, in the same token, need to respect other council members who feel differently about those changes, who feel differently about the process. And so that's where we have a problem, is that we need to determine as a council at some point. Again, in my mind, there's just chaos over this whole process. If I said, when I was on the council, if I'd have said, well, I want this water bottle to be blue, so make it happen, and the rest of the council wants it to be red, how do we make that bottle any color at all? Is it just because I said, and again, not trying to be disrespectful, we don't have a proper process. So at this point, I'd like to make the recommendation, we send it back to the insurance ordinance to clean it up and make it what it needs to be for the council to approve it. In the meantime, we being Mr. McBride and myself, will sit down and discuss this so that we can present yet another ordinance to the ordinance committee on how we're gonna handle these situations. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Just for clarification, my expectation has always been is that I submitted my changes to Mr. McBride, and those changes would come back some way highlighted to either O and I or to the council. I really didn't care at the end of the day. So the council would be able to see all of the changes that were made, proposed changes that were made, and could vote those changes up or down, and then vote on an agreed to ordinance in the same meeting.
And it might
That was
be-
my intent.
What you might end up doing is, if you send it back down, get a final, which might be this version or his changes or something completely different, I don't know. And then when it comes back is, I mean, you guys might be at the point you vote this thing sentence by sentence.
or section by section?
Or, yeah, I mean, whatever variation can do it,
That'll be a long meeting.
it will be. very
Basically,
long.
we'll bring a draft back from O and I.
Yes.
I think as long as the council has opportunity to review it, and we do, over the weekend, then it should go fairly quickly. I mean, I did not change every sentence, propose changes to every sentence.
And my changes weren't that much.
No, yours were.
And I think his changes were, you know, mine were just cleaning up some of the words.
Yours is verbiage.
So can we amend our motion to send this back to O and I?
Who made the motion?
Shropshire and
Yes.
Lure.
Make a motion to send it back to O and I.
I've got a question for clarification on the procedure then. When you say refer it back to O and I, do you simply mean that you want to go and have it on the agenda to hash out all of your changes again? Or do you want him, the city attorney, to draft the changes that you already give him and then present that to the O and I committee to look over, to study, instead of having to kind of start the process over?
Yeah, I think that's the understanding, kind of what changes have been proposed. And then, you know, and then people can, section by section, if they like a section, approve it. They like this section, and then if they don't like a section.
What we could do, just to make it easy, I don't think there's any issue with this, if you refer it back to O and I can get O and I both, I guess the three versions, the initial version, the one with his changes, which really isn't that much different, and then one with Trammell's changes, and then O and I can put them all side by
And
side.
please come to that
Make
meeting.
a draft.
Yeah.
I think it'd be very good if you came to that particular
I
meeting.
can do that, and then maybe, and then from there, figure out what the final to send up and actually vote on, and whatever everybody.
And then since this is gonna affect the police department, Jeremy, do you have any, does the chief of police have any, part of that?
I think it would be a good idea, because O and I is probably gonna ask him, when they see these three, what do you prefer and why? And they might disagree with him, or
It's
might,
smart.
We'll have to be at that
probably a good
meeting.
idea to get his input on all.
Yeah.
Which would be at the ordinance and insurance meeting.
And at the end of the day, I mean, I don't care how you vote. I just want to get it done with and voted. I mean, I think everybody's to that point. I mean, we're wasting money, Cherokee Nation, and time of coming over here over and over and over again. It's like, holy cow, it's the horse that never dies. So,
If we don't hurry up and vote, technology's gonna be out of style.
correct.
Yep.
As long as we've drug this out.
But
And the price is probably going up on the
Oh, I imagine.
block camera.
I haven't broken it down, but imagine if you look at like a pie chart of my hourly rate towards what I've billed you guys since being your attorney, this has been a very.
Yes, it has been.
portion.
I can promise you. I can even tell you how much each counselor has spent on it.
There you go.
And the mayor.
No.
Oh, yeah, I've got the list of mayor too.
So, all right, let's call for the vote on that.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Okay, item K, second and final reading of an ordinance amending the Pryor Creek Unified Development Ordinances to include an additional rear setback for accessory buildings and outbuildings.
Can we do a motion to waive?
We can include that in our motion.
I'll do that.
I'll second.
Okay. So second reading, we're gonna waive the reading for that ordinance. Again, that just changes the setback on a building to accommodate utility easements. Do you have further discussion? Call for the vote.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Okay, at this item, we'll go to item 1 on the addendum, which is the final ordinance. First reading of an ordinance amending 1-6-5 Personnel Board, redesignating the term lengths of the Personnel Board. So the 1-6-5, just for clarification before we get into that, you guys did it. This is, when we set that up, we didn't realize that the 6-year terms did not jive for the rotation. So 6 goes to 8, that's all it is. That's the only change made to that ordinance that you guys did so that those rotations can,
But each individual will serve 8
it's a,
years.
yes,
And what's the purpose for this change?
just like every other committee. So at the end of-
whenever the thing was created. they
Mr.
didn't have that.
Anderson or somebody, for example, sits on that board, he doesn't want to be on it for 9 years. So at the end of 8, his term is up. We can pick somebody new. just
I
like
mean,
every other board and commission that we
So
have.
you're trying to do it so it would have to be either 8 or 4, and 2 would rotate off. So what you're trying to do is get it,
Just get it so the rotation can actually take place smoothly, so there's not an overlap and.
If it stays at the 6th, the alternate will expire the same time as the first seat.
Okay, so do I have a motion for the first reading of an ordinance meeting 165 Personnel Board, redesigning the term lengths of the Personnel Board?
Motion?
I have a motion from Choya and a second from Malor. Further discussion? Call for the vote.
Gantier,
I'm still trying to wrap my head around this one.
It's the same ordinance as we had before.
Yeah,
We're
I'm
just taking
just-
6 years to 8 years so that the rotation makes sense.
I'm gonna go ahead and say yes.
Smith,
No.
Lamar,
No.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
No.
Trammell.
Thank you.
So what we got, what?
I believe it was 3 no's.
There's, yeah, there was 5 yeses and 3 nos.
Thank you. All right.
I think we're trying to, should I run too long?
At this time, I think the only thing we have left is item G, possible executive session pursuant to the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act for the purpose of discussing the grievance between FOP Lodge 116 and the City of Pryor Creek, 25 Statute 307B4. Do I have a motion?
Motion go into executive session.
We have a motion to go into executive session by
Move
Mr.
to-
Chitwood,
Second it?
second by Mr. Shropshire. We'll be back after we call for the vote.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Can't take anything, yeah.
Call for the
Smith,
vote.
Nothing goes.
sit down, please.
Oh, call for the vote. Okay, my bad.
I can go stand up.
Smith,
Sorry about that.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes. Should have abstained.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier.
All right. Please remember to leave your
So you,
Okay.
somebody said he had
I had to reach through the board.
All right, we're gonna continue. Excuse me. Consider resuming regular session. No action was taken during the executive session. Item,
Motion to resume.
do you have a second to resume?
a second.
Okay, we got a motion from Gantier and a second from Chitwood to resume regular session. Call for the vote.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Okay. Item I, discussion and possible action based on executive session concerning the grievance between the FOP Lodge 116 and the city of Pryor Creek. Do I have a motion?
Motion?
I'll second.
We have a motion from Mr. Shropshire, a second from Mr. Chitwood. Discussion?
So this would be so that we can take action, and then we'll follow up with specific action?
This is that specific action.
This is the specific action.
So you're gonna wanna word that motion then. So,
Please word it.
That's what I was thinking.
so who made it? So-
Shropshire and Chitwood.
I would do either a motion to accept or deny, whichever one you want to do the motion, but motion to accept or deny the relief requested in the grievance and authorize me, the attorney, to respond in writing pursuant to your collective bargaining agreement.
Exactly what he said.
But accept
No.
or deny.
But you gotta pick one.
You have to pick.
Deny.
To accept.
Huh?
Accept this
Deny?
recommendation or deny?
Accept.
Deny the grievance. Okay, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Deny the grievance.
Motion to deny the relief requested in the grievance and authorize city attorney to respond in writing
Yeah.
pursuant to the collective bargaining agreement.
And I amend my second.
Okay.
When you're ready, call for the vote.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 6, committee reports. A, budget personnel,
14th.
14th. Item B, ordinance and insurance.
Have you found a time that we can have a meeting? I know we discussed at the last meeting that you have to find an opening on the schedule.
Not Tuesday.
Actually, I think it might have been Lisa that
Yeah, we haven't figured that out yet, so we'll have to
called
get
me.
something. Yeah.
Excuse me.
All right. Item C, street and maintenance,
28th.
28. Just after Thanksgiving, huh?
Yeah, right after.
All right. Any unforeseeable business? We have none that I'm aware of. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion for Mr. Chitwood, a second for Mr. Gantier. We are adjourned.
Can we vote on that?
Got a vote.
No, I don't want to do that. I'm ready to go home, dang it. Yes, call for the vote.
Okay.
Man,
Okay.
I'm struggling with it.
Everyone abstained.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Get to go into,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire.
yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Sorry about that.
So clever.
All right, we will now call to order the Pryor Public Works Authority. Item 2, approve the minutes of the October 17th, 2023 meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion from Chitwood, a second from Gantier. Call for the vote.
You guys talk so much faster at the very end of this.
I'm so-
Malure,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw.
Abstain.
Item 3, unforeseeable business. We have none. Item 4, Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
I have a motion from Chitwood and a second from Malure. When you're ready, call for the vote.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier, Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Malure.
Yes.
Adjourned.
That's all, folks.